really is. There we go. Hey, there we go. Hey, okay. Can we work with this? Can we work with an infinite background? Let me try to. I'll just try to make it work. Oh, it's gonna drag me down. Okay. We have infinity going on behind us. This is the September 13th. Wednesday, September meeting of the Bolinas Civic Group's community meeting. And I've never done this before in this way, and I'm going to make it work. It's going to be great. So I think I just click that button, and we start. Yeah? Hold on. All right, welcome. There we are, everybody. Out of all the crazy things that have happened, there is a digital translation solution. Unfortunately, I can't click that button over here and be here at the same time. Would anyone like digital translation tonight? When I speak into the microphone, headphones will come out in Spanish. Anyone? I'm not speaking Spanish, so it doesn't work. I'm gonna move on. If anyone does need that, we do have that available. There's headphones over there, you push the buttons. Okay, first off, I would like to thank the Bolinas Community Center for hosting this event every month. I don't know if you're aware, but they are very kind, and they offer up the space for the Bolinas Civic Group to have this. You'll notice there are two fancy QR codes there and there, and I would like to pass around this donations to BCC because there's lights and there's other things that are taken. They don't charge, if you guys could chip in and just pass this around and then get it back up here at the end, that would be great. Okay, whew. I didn't think I was going to sweat tonight, but I was clearly wrong. I was going to show all the technology, but now I'm embarrassed to do so. So let's move on from there. Okay, the Bolinas Civic Group presents Brass Tacks, Nothing But Facts. Boom. Okay, so about this meeting, I just want to give a little, okay, here we go. I got it, making it work. It's all about adaptation, it's the key to success. There we go. Okay, so about this meeting. This is an informational meeting. Please give respect to the speakers who are doing their best to present their information. After the meeting, if you want to hang out, the speakers will be in the room. They also all have contact information to connect with them after the meeting, so you can get in with them. So just give everyone a chance to do their stuff. The agenda for this evening, announcements, speakers, and projects as always. We're going to kick it off first with community announcements. And first is, where are you? Where'd you go? Oh, you're right there. Come on up here. Gosh, this is wild.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Aniela, and I live over on the Mesa. I am hosting a Mountain Film on Tour in Point Reyes on October 21st. This film festival has been going on in Telluride, Colorado for 50 years. I've attended for the last 8 years, and it's an event every year that really inspires me deeply, and so I really want to bring it to this community for the first time. This will be an annual event. We're starting with live music. Kelly McFarling will be opening. And then we'll have 5 hand-selected documentary shorts that are culturally rich, adventure-packed, inspiring films that have to do with social justice, the environment, environmental protection, advocacy, and human rights. And hopefully these films will inspire us in our own community to take action with all these issues that we care so much about. I will be around after this meeting, and I have postcards to share about this event. This event also is benefiting my nonprofit, Riding Wild, where I take women on healing expeditions in nature, centered around storytelling and mindfulness. And that's it. When is it? October 21st, and I will answer questions after the meeting. Stick around and find me. Thank you.
Thank you. And it clearly is a film-centered announcement, that event today, because next up we have Enzo to talk about the Bolinas Film Festival. Just click on the screen.
Okay, thanks. Aniela, thank you. That was the Mountain Film Festival that she's bringing here to West Marin is considered to be one of the most brilliant and amazingly well curated festivals in the country. And they kind of really stand in a league of their own in terms of the quality of films that the Mountain Film Festival selects. And so it's going to be amazing what you bring. So thank you. That's going to be incredible. Our festival here in town starts, let me see, I guess we would say the soft launch of the festival starts next Sunday, the 17th. There is a table read, a full script read of Pulp Fiction, which is a hilarious, raunchy, kind of funny script, which is kind of fun to drop into because it includes a number of vignettes, each of them kind of distinguishable in and of themselves. So if you show up for 15 minutes, you might get a good story. The cast will be local people here from our community. Howard Dillon has agreed to read the action, so he'll be like interior cafe day. A couple is sitting at the table arguing about this, that, and the other. And then we have Zach Fuller is going to be playing the Jules role, and Annabelle will be playing the Mia, Uma Thurman role. And it should be a real hoot. They're really fun. It'll be 2 to 5 on Sunday. We do have some open roles. In fact, Vincent, that character is still open, and should be a lot of fun. So that's kind of our soft start. And then in earnest, the festival starts on Thursday. We're honored to be partnering with the Calvary Church. It's an amazing, beautiful, historically important building. And we've been working with the pastor and the church elders. We've given them blackout blinds, and we've manufactured new seat cushions for the pews. And we'll have a series of films throughout the course of the weekend. I did want to point out that on Saturday, there's a movie called High Country, and it's a 58-minute documentary about a small town in Colorado, in the mountains actually. And in the 70s, the people in this town were facing some undesired growth, and they didn't really know what to do. Corporate interests were coming in. And they came out to Bolinas because they had heard about this community, and they met with my uncle Greg Hewlett and Peter Warshall, Orville Schell, a number of people, and they learned from the elders of this town how to approach kind of like protecting a town. So anyway, that's backstory to the High Country film. It's a brilliant film. The documentarian worked with a number of other esteemed documentary makers. And after that film, we're bringing together the farmer Dennis Dirks, who I'm sure everyone here knows, but he brings to the table thousands of years of historical knowledge about how the coastal Miwok stewarded this little community. He's one of the most knowledgeable about that topic. And he also understands how farming sort of cropped up here. Before the gold rush, people just grew lettuce and carrots and did what they needed for themselves, and then all of a sudden there were more people than there were crops for, and crops started to grow. So anyway, Dennis is brilliant. Dr. Anna O'Malley, Harriet Kosman, who represents clearly the importance of art in the community. So I strongly encourage people to come to this. Megan Matson will be on that panel, and it's moderated by Jeff Manson. And the filmmaker Connor will be there, as well as John Borg. John had mentioned to me in passing, I feel like the elders of Bolinas have stories, and the younger generation is making stories, and we need a bridge. And so I said, you should be on the panel. What you're doing in town really matters as well. And then on Sunday, all day free films for the community, a wide range of international and locally made films. It's free for the community. And then we're having a closing party at Smiley's Sunday 4 to 7. So a lot of fun stuff, a lot of great activities, a lot of beautiful films. And I hope people can join. I think it's going to be quite a joy. So thanks. I did want to mention we're opening our volunteer office. We're staffed for volunteers, but the Grand Hotel will be starting on Monday. People can come get tickets, learn more. If you don't want to go online, from noon to 7, we'll be housed up over there. So come on by. Thank you. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, AJ. Thank you. Oh, BolinasFilmFestival.com. Looks like for more information. Let me just go off and add and admit another person here. And I need to do this. We're going to mute this computer, and that should make everything sound a lot better on Zoom. Community announcements can be signed up for at BolinasCivicGroup.org's website. Next up, we have community speakers, which is the bulk and the meat and potatoes of our event this evening. The first up on the community speakers is going to be an agenda item, which displays what we're going to talk to. So we're going to first talk with KWMR. Then we're going to talk about some short-term rentals from the county who's come out to visit with us. Our good friend John Cozy is going to go on the Bolinas Eucalyptus project for quite some time with jokes. Do we have jokes tonight? Okay, no, maybe. And then we're going to talk about Measure A. So we have a wide range of both local, West Marin, and county participants this evening. It's very exciting. So first off, I'd like to bring up Mia from KWMR. There she is.
Okay, okay, for the next slide. Okay, great. Thanks for having me, Mia, and from KWMR. I've been there about 12 years, and just gotten to know Will recently because he's been increasingly involved in the station. So that's what inspired me to get involved in the meeting and make more connection with Bolinas. We love our Bolinas listeners on 89.9, and first of all, just want to acknowledge that the signal is not the best thing in the world. So I know a lot of people do have some trouble getting that 89.9 signal, and I'm going to address that a little bit too, but mainly just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Mia Johnson. I'm the Digital Communication Director at KWMR, and just tell you a little bit about the station. Could you raise your hand if you listen to KWMR or know a little bit? Okay, so we got most people, and then a few people maybe learning a little bit more than they did. Okay, I'll try this slide thing. Okay, there we go. That's our building there in Point Reyes. And our team, if you ever want to reach out to anybody, I don't have the contact info, but you can go to kwmr.org and find them. We have an executive director, station manager, Amanda Eichstedt. We have our program director, Bolinas' own Jeffrey Manson, which I'm sure many of you know. We have our longtime IT wrangler, Ian McMurray, and a new employee who is wonderful, named James, who just came on, and we've been thinking a lot about our succession planning, and so it's nice to have folks who know what Ian and other longtime employees do at the station. Our transmitter engineer, you'd probably want to call him transmitter wrangler, is Richard Dillman. Raise your hand if you've encountered the wonderful Richard Dillman. Okay, there we go. And our development director is Alyssa Tanner. She is wonderful, and she's going to be wrangling our pledge drive. So as you can tell, there is a lot of wrangling happening at the station. Number one is wanted to let folks know, you probably know most of these things, but there are several ways to listen to KWMR. As I mentioned, sometimes the dedicated Bolinas signal, which is 89.9, is not the best. It's because of a lot of factors: hills, internet, some competing stations, territory-wise. So we really wish it could be stronger, but we've tried our best and we're working with what we can work with in terms of hills. But that is the dedicated signal for Bolinas. 90.5 FM Point Reyes station, and I know that also comes in certain places of Bolinas, and actually runs all the way up the coast and down into San Francisco. So a lot of Sonoma County gets that signal as well. And 92.3 is our newest member of the group. That's San Geronimo Valley. We also stream live worldwide, so if you can't get the FM signal at your house, you can go to kwmr.org. And we're really encouraging people to download the app. And not only just because you can listen at the beach or whatever you may be doing in the garden, or, but also because of emergencies, in case power goes out, in case folks don't have access to the FM or online stream. The app is a really good option for getting that emergency information. We also have Horizon Cable Channel 47. Probably not a whole lot of people have Horizon Cable, but a few people have that TV service. And our newest is on smart speakers, so you can ask Alexa to play KWMR if you have one of those in your house. And again, to download the app, it's totally free, and it's available for Android and Apple. And you can just go to kwmr.org/apps, and it'll lead you to both things. So just encouraging, especially as the winter storms are coming and we want people to be connected, to encourage them to check out that app. And another thing that sometimes in the heat of the moment in an emergency, you may forget, oh, I can go to my car and listen to the FM signal. I know I've forgotten that. I've been like, oh, I don't have a radio, I don't have my computer. So the car is always a nice backup option. And speaking of emergency information, it's something we really take seriously. We have music and entertainment and talk, but when it comes to disaster and emergency information, we take that extremely seriously, and we air things that are vetted, and we partner with the county and other emergency organizations to get information on air. We're really, really excited that we are doing English and Spanish as much as we possibly can these days to increase the usefulness of that information. If it's something super, super important, it'll be every 15 minutes, something, very, very critical, something less critical every 30 minutes. And if it's something like a road closed, that's not a huge, huge deal, maybe every hour. So when in doubt, check every 15, 30 or hour if you can't be listening all the time, which we know you can't be listening around the clock, but you can always check in if something's going on to see if it's on then. And also, this is another thing Will and I were talking about is public service announcements. I know we have a lot of nonprofit folks here tonight, and want to encourage you to submit a PSA, public service announcement. They get processed within about a week, and we get nonprofit information out over the air. It's not the same as our paid underwriting, but it's a free option for nonprofits, and we just want to make sure everyone takes advantage of that and we can get that message out to our listeners. So that's kwmr.org/PSA. I think I went backwards there. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, yeah, and then I think we have one more minute or so. Okay. Also wanted to let folks know that this is another connection with Will recently is Epicenter is our news and information program. It's a weeknight program. Also have airings at 11 and Thursday, on Monday and Thursday. And it's news and information all about West Marin, all of the different areas of West Marin. We try our best to cover as wide a reach in this area as we can. So for example, we had the Eucalyptus Project on this morning, I believe. We had suicide prevention representative from the county on Monday. So it's topics like that, local and things affecting local.
Isn't there anything
So
interesting?
that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Those times are there. And you can also get the archives on the website,
talk about the post office?
kwmr.org. And Will talks about the Bolinas Civic Group, I believe Thursday monthly.
I didn't ask for that to be in there.
Okay, and he has a new show coming up.
I do have a new radio show. That's very exciting.
Yes.
Yes.
Brand new show coming up. And also want to shout out Howard Dillon, one of our longest, I think from the very, very beginning, 22 years ago, he was one of our very first programmers. So a shout out to Howard. We have one of the first and one of the most recently joined here in the house. So if anyone else would like to be a programmer or be interested in getting their event talked about on the air, you can reach out to our program director, and I did not put that on here, but it's programming@kwmr.org, and that's Jeff Manson. So I will finish up here. A couple ways to support the radio station if you love what we do. We have car donations. If anyone wants a card, I have cards about car donations. And we also have our fall pledge drive coming up October 16th through the 29th. So that's always a fun time to connect with people who listen, and one of the only times that we actually know who is listening. It's kind of a mystery sometimes. So it's a fun time to connect with everybody. So there we go. If you'd like to reach out to me, I'm mia@kwmr.org, and we're also on social media at KWMR Radio everywhere. So we waste our time over on social media at that same handle on all platforms. So really want to thank you for having us today. And if there's other ways that we can better serve Bolinas, we'd love to hear it. Reach out to any of us, and usually with KWMR, we can make it happen. So thank you.
I didn't know you guys had a TikTok. You should follow my TikTok. Okay. Up next on community speakers is going to be, because I don't remember, Sonia Hammonds with the county for short-term rentals. Wait, is that right? No, I totally screwed up that slide. Kathleen, you want to be Sonia? No, I apologize.
Hi, yeah, I'm Kathleen Kilgariff. I'm a planner with the County of Marin, and I can do a little segue from KWMR. This is a short presentation today, but I just was on Epicenter last Wednesday, September 6th, so you can tune in there and hear a longer conversation with Supervisor Radoni about short-term rentals. So I just wanted to start with a quick background for short-term rentals, just to let you know that we have had regulations in place since 2018. They mostly center around good neighbor policies and connecting one another. If you have a short-term rental, that you've got a local contact person that someone can reach out to and address any issues that may arise. We established a short-term rental hotline where people can also submit complaints or issues that arise around short-term rentals. And then in 2020, we heard from folks that they wanted us to update our short-term rental ordinance, but we weren't prepared at the time, given the fact that it was a pandemic and we couldn't do the necessary outreach like we're doing now with everyone here. But we did make a slight tweak to our ordinance and just changed the way that local contact people are provided to the county so that we could share that information with the public. And then in May of 2022, the Board of Supervisors adopted a short-term rental moratorium in West Marin. It is in place for 2 years, and it's to just put a pause on new short-term rentals as we work to update our current short-term rental ordinance. Heard from many of you, so you may be pretty familiar with the process, but I also wanted to just center the fact that we're in the coastal zone. The coastal zone kind of makes things a little bit more complicated when it comes to drafting regulations, in that the Coastal Commission has to authorize any regulations that we put forward. They encourage coastal access and visitor serving accommodations, and we've heard from a lot of folks that there are too many of those already. As you can see, in Bolinas, there's 63 short-term rentals, which is about 10% of your existing housing stock. And in the coastal zone, you've got 568 short-term rentals in total, which is 65% of all of the short-term rentals in the county. So there's a lot of short-term rentals here, a lot of people coming to visit, and we're trying to find a way to strike that balance. We've heard from a lot of folks in Bolinas that they don't want any more short-term rentals. They want to preserve existing housing for the community, which is also something that's built into our housing element, where we're finding ways to preserve existing housing. But I want to remind people that we'll always have to be collaborating with the Coastal Commission on this, so we'll have to strike that balance between visitor serving accommodations and long-term housing for our residents, long-term renters. And then this is just a table. I wanted to show it in the context of the rest of the coastal zone. Bolinas is around the middle of the communities when it comes to the percentage of homes that are used as short-term rentals. We've got a higher population up in Dillon Beach and Stinson Beach as well. And so we anticipate that those will be areas that there will continue to be a higher number of short-term rentals, but the overall goal is to definitely bring down the overall number. So we got an ordinance. We were anticipating that the ordinance would be out by now, but that hasn't happened. But I can say it should be out within the next few days, probably by early next week. I can touch on the general themes of the ordinance, and this is pretty consistent with what other communities have in place. They establish short-term rental operating requirements, so like things around eligibility, what types of units can be used as short-term rentals, which can't. Good neighbor policies are still there, you know, complying with our noise ordinance,
Right.
making sure that you're not creating issues with trash, providing on-site parking. And then we really want to focus on emergency preparedness as
You want a
well.
camp
So
put
there
you
are
up.
requirements like having a smoke detector,
Right.
providing evacuation routes, carbon monoxide detectors, and ways that we can communicate. As you know, not everyone out here has service or a phone. So there's different ways that
Yeah,
the
I'm
emergency
gonna do this
contact
now.
folks are able to get in touch with you. And so that will
I
be built
will.
into the regulations as well. We're also going to have a short-term rental license application process. So that will be a change from what we currently have. Right now, we only require folks to obtain a business license and a TOT certificate, but a short-term rental license will allow us to actually implement the ordinance and enforce it. I think that enforcement has become a big component of short-term rental regulations. We can't put something forward if we can't ultimately make people comply with it. So that has become a big part. And as a result of that too, and what we've heard from folks is that there should be ways to revoke short-term rental licenses or have citations of notice of violations. Currently, we don't have that built into our ordinance. And so that will become a component of it as well. And again, I want to touch on caps. Again, that overall number of short-term rentals that could be allowed within a community will be established. But we do think that there are different ways that people are using their property. And as a result, all short-term rentals may not be subject to those caps. So I've got some key terms defined here about what we would consider to be a short-term rental. And then we get into the concept of a hosted short-term rental and an unhosted short-term rental. Unhosted short-term rentals are those full-time, can operate as a short-term rental 365 days a year, while a hosted short-term rental is a short-term rental where the primary property owner or resident lives on site and hosts people while they're there. We've heard from a lot of people that there is more support for the hosted model because it's allowing somebody to maybe rent out a room in their home or a detached structure and allows them to stay in their home, be able to afford to live here, and just kind of provide that flexibility with people who are maybe on fixed incomes or things like that. And so we don't anticipate that hosted short-term rentals will be part of the overall cap, but that the unhosted short-term rentals would be the ones that would fall into more limits. And it may be that we don't see that number come down instantly, but over time, as people no longer operate and don't renew their licenses or sell their properties, they will turn into housing for a more permanent resident. And then here's the project schedule. Again, I noted it was just kind of changing recently, but we really are getting our public draft out this September, again, hopefully by Monday or Tuesday next week. And then we'll be bringing draft regulations forward to the the Planning Commission, pardon me, in a workshop on October 23rd. So that'll be the first day that the Planning Commission will have an opportunity to review the regulations. There'll be a second meeting after that for them to recommend to the Board of Supervisors approval of the regulations. And then we'll bring that to the Board of Supervisors once those regulations are ready to go along with the staff report. And then ultimately, again, we're going to have to submit those to the Coastal Commission for certification. We anticipate it will take a few months for the Coastal Commission to be able to bring a decision forward. So we're hoping to have everything complete by May 2024 when the moratorium is lifted. And I think that's all I've got. Yeah. So if you got any questions, you can always reach out to me at str@marincounty.org. And I will be here after the meeting if you want to talk. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. I just want to say that I think it's really exciting that A long time ago, 4 months ago, there was a whole thing about these short-term rentals. And then 2 months ago, some folks came into the room and pleaded to get involved with the community. And then Kathleen got 1 trillion emails. How many did you get? Over 50 emails. Was it the highest number of representatives from an individual West Marin village? Yes. So we indeed, right, 4 months ago, got together. 2 months ago, pleaded with Kathleen here. And then Kathleen, I was so bummed we couldn't talk about it with Wiz because we were so close. But anyway, thank you so much, Kathleen. Okay, for those of you that are just joining, we did have some technical difficulties when we got started on the Zoom. Apologize, and thank you everyone for bearing with the fact that there's an infinite world behind us. And so next up, I would like to present John. I'd like to present John. Okay, let's go.
Good evening, everybody. What do we got? Okay. This slide was going to be last, so let's go right there. But let's start with this. First of all, it is so good to be standing here with actual good news, some tangible progress that has been made, which is on August 16th, the BPUD board voted unanimously to support our project. Yes, baby. You know, we worked for 3 years towards this, not knowing for sure that we would get their approval. And 68% of the job is on their land. So if they weren't on board, we were done. So it was a long leap of faith on our part to keep at it and ultimately get their approval. We're super grateful. They really have been great all through the process. And now we have that box checked. Next stop, Bolinas Fire Department. This month on the 27th, we will be asking them for their endorsement. And as they are the primary public safety people in this community, and this is primarily a public safety project with a big ecological upside, it would be logical that they support. And as far as going to the county and the Coastal Commission, without their support, it would be dodgy. And then going to donors, you need the fire board to support. So if you all know anybody on that board and you want to put in a word, or if you don't know them and you want to send a letter or an email or a phone call or a card, that would be dandy. This slide is not from last year. This was January 24th of 2022. And that was one of the forerunners of the trees on the right or the north side of Mesa Road that decided to slowly fall over, and then it got hung up in a tree on the south side of Mesa Road. And what's interesting, ironic, funny about this is that Wilhelm Tree Service spent 22 hours. There's a really big echo. Oh, if I talk softer. 22 hours dismantling that tree to save that power pole and transformer. And then this year, that power pole and transformer got obliterated by another falling tree, which speaks to the futility of managing this stand further into the future, hence our project. What I'm going to do now is walk away from that echo. And is that going to work for people on Zoom? No, it will not work for people on Zoom. I'm going to come back to the microphone. And I'm going to read a letter that went with our packet to the fire board, and this will give everyone who may not be familiar a good overview of the project. The project that we are asking the Bolinas Fire Protection District to endorse involves the removal of 1,200 blue gum eucalyptus trees. 432 of them are over 20 inches in diameter. 78 of those are large roadside trees with diameters ranging from 30 to over 60 inches. The total area of the project is 11.9 acres. 7.6 of those acres are on the BPUD land. 2.9 acres are on 3 private properties on the north side of Mesa Road, and 1.4 acres are the roadway itself. This as measured by licensed forester Tom Gammon. The tree removal and trunk grinding are projected to take between 90 and 120 days. The restoration element of the project will be ongoing adaptive management. The project area is under half of the overall stand of trees that extend from the private properties north of Mesa Road and south behind and around the resource recovery. Ultimately, the project area represents right about 10% of the eucalyptus trees on the Bolinas Peninsula. 3 arborist reports attached in this packet demonstrate why full removal of this portion of the overall stand is, in the long run, the most cost-effective option, and from a public safety standpoint, the responsible thing to do. 2 letters within the packet. Footnote, one of those letters is from world-renowned ecologist David Ainley, and it will be in tomorrow's Point Reyes Light. Go into deep analysis of the marginal role the project area has contributed to the overall monarch visitation on the Bolinas Peninsula. Bolinas Eucalyptus Project has every intention to work with those protecting monarchs. The native vegetation and habitat conversion of the project area will help monarchs and other pollinator species and be a lasting gift to Bolinas. Far into the future, the restoration effort will be a model for Bolinas's responsible environmental stewardship. H.T. Harvey Ecological Consultants have agreed to work with our very own Judith Lowry to design and implement a revegetation plan that will benefit local ecological balance and have fire resiliency as one of the primary influences on the planting scheme. Above all else, what this project provides is something we are sure the fire department welcomes: a safe route onto or off of the mesa in all weather conditions. There are numerous disaster scenarios where if this road was blocked by downed trees, people could die. It's that simple. As I've said before in this room, more trees fell across Mesa Road this winter, and the road was closed more often than was seen on the entire length of the Bolinas Fairfax Road. This stand of trees at this location far exceeds what should be considered acceptable risk tolerance when living in and around forests. This is not a forest. This is an ill-advised planting that has become dangerous and has entered an unstable state of decline. One way or the other, these trees are coming down, and we believe bringing them down in a controlled and planned fashion is far more responsible than just waiting for them to come crashing down on their own. This winter was a warning. Do we heed this warning or do we ignore it? This is the question. Hey. So now I would like to switch to that slide of, so that's back. No, that's me. Oh, gee, you don't want me touching this. Holy shit.
You got it. Forward. Forward. Forward.
That's forward.
That's forward.
And that's back. Oh, this is fun. So forward.
Yeah, forward.
All right. Assuming we heed the warning and move forward with a removal of these trees and a restoration conversion of the area. This is a storyboard produced by H.T. Harvey, the firm that we've contracted to design and implement the restoration plan. Jonna Alexander Green, who's a member of the Bolinas Eucalyptus Project, has some printed up laminated copies of these for folks to check out and read. I guess you can read it from there, but we're not going to have that much time. These will also be on our website at some point. Right now, if anybody wants to see our arborist reports, the best way to go about it right now is to go to the Bow Civic webpage, click Bolinas Eucalyptus Project, then click project page, and there you will find the arborist reports that I referred to in this letter to the Bolinas Fire Protection District. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back hopefully next month with more good news. All right.
Thank you, John. Um, fantastic. I personally can tolerate a little delay, but I'm going to invite Sonia up to. I got it right this time. That's Sonia. That's Kathleen. Sonia's going to come up and talk about Measure A.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me in. As a human, my name is Sonia, and I was born and raised here in Marin, and it's always such an honor to be invited into Bolinas, so thank you. And then tonight, in my semi-official capacity, I'm here on behalf of Marin County Parks. I just started working there a few months ago to manage a brand new program. This is a brand new grant program, so new money, and we wanted to make sure the Bolinas community is aware and can be involved. So we're going to cover where this money is coming from and what it can support and how you can get involved. And I'll hang out after the meeting and share my contact info and would love to hear from all of you. So where the money's coming from. Parks Measure A is a big thing, and I'm here to talk about one little part of it. Parks Measure A was a ballot measure that Marin County voters voted into existence first in 2012. It is a sales tax, a quarter-cent sales tax that goes to all kinds of parks things. Most of it, both the green part and the orange part, is all parks related things. The green part is Marin County managed parks, and the orange part is parks managed by cities and towns. And then the blue part is sustainable agriculture. And for the most part, so the ballot measure was passed in 2012 for 10 years, and then it went up for a revote last year in 2022. And a lot of it stayed mostly the same, but there were some significant changes in the blue part around agriculture, including the creation of the new program we're talking about today. And I bring this up because all of you, or those who voted and those who buy things, have been involved in this one way or another, because it was voters who wanted to change some elements of Measure A. And then whenever you're buying something and paying a local sales tax, you're contributing to this whole funding source as well. So voting with our votes, voting with our dollars. And we're gonna zoom in here. Parks Measure A, super big thing. Zooming into the blue part of sustainable agriculture. And this is really what changed with the 2022 version. So what we're talking about here today is one specific part of Measure A. It's the 30%, which is 30% of 20% to get technical. And this was the creation of a brand new grant program for food and agriculture and all kinds of things. So it really expands the kinds of projects that Measure A is supporting, and expands the geography of where this kind of funding can support projects throughout Marin and topic areas. So this will be around $800,000, depending on how much everybody spends per year for the next 8 years. And then it will be up to voters to decide, are we doing this again? Do we give this program more money, less money? It's up to the community. So brand new program, what can it fund? Super wide range of areas that really expands the areas that Marin County Parks works on. So we're talking about anything related to local food systems, as well as sustainable agriculture, which can mean so many things, conservation agriculture, wildlife habitat, et cetera. And then the local food systems part is also very broadly defined. So urban community school gardens, but also supporting food co-ops or food-related micro businesses, or all kinds of things. It's not defined, it's brand new. All kinds of ideas are welcome. We expect a lot of ideas, and so in terms of how we're going to decide who to fund, luckily we have 8 years at least. One key component will be equity considerations, which is a new established priority by the Marin County Board of Supervisors, that programs consider equity elements in how funding is made. And so this is interpreted in broadly for this program. So we'll be considering inviting proposals to let us know how their project is addressing inequities in some way, because there can be so many different kinds of inequity. We can talk about race, age, income, lots of different things. So basically, we don't want to define it. You can let us know how this is supporting reduction of inequities in your community. We're also looking to support partnerships of organizations working together, and to support existing priorities that communities have identified together as a community. Let's see. And so in this process of designing the program, we've gone to lots of meetings like this for the past year and collected ideas, and we're continuing to do so. This is a huge amount of text, so I think Will's going to be sending this out later, but this is just to demonstrate that there's been a lot of ideas so far, and there can be many more ideas. So there's been a bunch of ideas related to local food supply and community gardens, and when you get this by email, you can look in more detail. There's been a lot of ideas around the environmental restoration and carbon capture, farming, regenerative agriculture areas, and connections between these various topics. And then another element that's kind of quite new to Measure A is increasing access to low-cost farming opportunities for new farmers. And about community-led priorities, there has been some discussion during the past year with the collaboration of Health and Human Services and, I hope I get this right, West Marin Community Services, I think, for the past year, identifying food-related priorities for West Marin, and I think they're going to be joining you next month to make sure Bolinas' voice is heard on that. And they are planning to submit a proposal addressing one West Marin priority in particular. And there can be more projects from West Marin. It's not just one project per region by any means. So what is next? We expect the application period to be open starting in mid-October. We're already hosting information sessions where you can learn more about the program, how to apply, what would make a compelling application. So we're starting with those workshops in late September, and those will be running all the way through the application period, including office hours kinds of sessions where you can just come with your specific questions about the application and get help and advice. Then things will kind of churn through the county review system for a while, and approval of projects would be in May, with money going out the door in June. And then we'll reflect and get more community feedback and figure out how we can improve for the next year. So we're looking forward to providing staff support. We'll have these workshop sessions. If you need support on connections with possible partners, or you are not part of an official nonprofit and are looking for a fiscal sponsor, get in touch. And here's some contact info at our website. You can see the info session times and dates, subscribe to our email list, and reach out. I'll be here after the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And just to touch on that a little bit, yes, the Health and Human Services, which is sort of tangentially attached to the project, is going to be distributing a survey that we will give out to the community to address some of the more unique, particular elements of Bolinas' relationship with the land, the earth, our food and production and stuff. So we're really excited about that partnership to get that information and that survey out to you guys over the next month. And then they will present the results of that survey to the community. So stay tuned. I'll provide more information at bolinascivicgroup.org. Where are we? Gosh, we're doing infinity again. Okay. Sorry. Well, the next little bit of our thing, our community projects. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, community projects are the things that are facilitated by the Bolinas Civic Group. And for those of you joining on Zoom, technical difficulties tonight, as always. This one is just spectacular. Okay. Um, we're going to start off. Hopefully, this video will work. It should be a video. So, the first thing we're going to talk about tonight is the post office, which we all know that there's a post office. There's a group of folks with the Bolinas Civic Group that have been focusing on trying to bring a post office back to Bolinas. There was a letter writing campaign that went out on Labor Day, and so there was some content and a video. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. There we go. The post office. Oh, we're doing great. All right, here's the video. I don't know if we can hear it, but so we're going to imagine that we've been in this process. Yeah, thank you, and lots of letters. Everyone in the room is making noises. It's fantastic. I'm going to try to emulate them. Do 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 do. And so there were lots of additional letters contributed to our postmaster general at the top of the tree to let him know that this community absolutely wants to have a post office in Bolinas. It says we need a post office. Those letters were all coalesced and sent off yet again, just continuing to affirm and reaffirm that this community desperately wants a post office back in its community. And it's been great to see the outpouring of artful things created by artists and individuals that have like really shown the depth of this community in terms of some of them are bland and boring and handwriting, and others are these fantastic letters and cards of images and fantastic things. So it's been really great. I'd like to bring up Ainur for a split second just to talk. Ainur showed up in person today, which was great because the number of challenges faced by Will Bartlett with his technological solutions have been through the roof. It says switch to Zoom, but I don't have to. I'm going to just have Ainur live in the infinite land.
Hi, good evening. Thanks everybody who showed up in person or showing up through the looking glass. So first of all, we have a few announcements tonight, and I just want to get a sense in the room, how many people want a post office back in Bolinas? Great. And how many people would like it to happen sooner than 1 to 3 years? Yeah, okay. And how many people would prefer to have the immediate services delivered in Olima versus Stinson Beach? Okay. I think we have an expression that seems like a consensus here, and I know it's not the whole town, but I'm always trying to keep my, not because I'm a doctor, but my finger on the pulse of what the town wants, because that's all we're trying to serve. We have no other agenda in any of our work but to try to represent your wishes and deliver on them. So first announcement is thank you for those letters. It was heroic, hundreds of letters in 24 hours, and many people came together to make that happen, including the serenading from the stage, which really inspired people to come over to our table. So thank you for that again, and don't stop writing, keep writing. Another form of communication, because we are being told that there are representations of what our community wants that aren't actually what we're hearing as a collective voice. So misrepresentation perhaps of what our community wants. So please keep writing. Also use official post office forms, even to talk about your user experience in the here and now of how it's going for you, but especially if you have concerns. There are post office forms, complaint forms, we can make that available on the website, but use their process. It's a bureaucracy and they recognize their own forms as a currency. So please use that mechanism as well as your letters. The next thing is, I'm sad to tell you, but we found out roundabout that the Olima post office is reopened and that they're returning Bolinas to the Olima post office in October. And we didn't hear this directly from the post office. I heard it from a reporter who was interviewing me on a story about it. And so we have made our wishes known in hundreds of letters. We actually were asked this question by USPS officials in a meeting, and we said, that is not what the townspeople have represented to us. They do not want to go back. And there are 4 clear reasons. We stated them on Nextdoor. We'll put these talking points again, but it's much farther. There's no public transportation. Many of our people don't drive and would have no way to get there. It's going to flood again in the winter. They haven't changed the level of the parking lot versus the level of post office. It's way too small. It's not truly ADA accessible. So it seems pretty obvious, but that right now is an official statement that we learned from the post office, but not to any of us. We had to learn it from the newspaper, and then we confirmed it with them. So that's discouraging. So not only did we not hear about it, but we didn't hear a rationale for it. So, but when we heard that they were reopening, it raised concerns for the committee. I'm one of the committee, Steve, Melinda, myself, Jennifer, working on the interim plan. The most viable site we found was Mesa Park in terms of efficiency and meeting functional requirements. But when it came up in one of our meetings, they were reopening the post office. As we said clearly to you in the Nextdoor message, it raised concerns for us that they may consider that a way to do that instead of an interim post office. That concern is growing. We're getting more and more concerned because we've not received a lease, and we were weeks away from receiving a lease. So the pressure is important, but the Olema situation isn't good for a week, and it's definitely not good for 1 to 3 to 5 years as an interim solution. So we need to make that very, very clear. We immediately wrote to Jared Huffman's office, Rodoni. They've all weighed in with the post office again, said this is unacceptable. They're leaning in hard to move forward with the interim plan, which was co-developed with the post office and approved by them. So why it ground to a halt seems like a lot of misinformation and confusion. So they're leaning in and calling for meetings, et cetera. And all of your letters have been delivered by them to the post office. The other thing that we were told from US Post Office officials is that the more expansive the cluster box solution gets, the more at risk is the likelihood that we will ever have a post office back in Bolinas. So try not to get confused about all these creative solutions that you're hearing about. If your ultimate wish is a post office in Bolinas, physical post office with full services, as we had for 160 years and as we deserve as one of the biggest communities in West Marin. So I'm just trying to, unfortunately, have a tough conversation with you tonight, but trying to make things as clear as possible so you can raise your own voice and make your wishes known. But these are the things we're up against right now. And I'm always happy to answer questions, as is Melinda, Steve, Jennifer, John Borg. And there is misinformation going around. I am getting emails that are mischaracterizing me and attributing things to me that are not true of that I've said or implied. So come to us directly. We'd like to communicate with you directly, and really try to just give people the opportunity to make informed choices by giving you as much information as we know. And I think, you know, just to reiterate, we would love to work closely with the post office. We have been working very well in our committee for quite a while. We'd like to work with all levels of the post office, including our postmaster, who has my contact information and who we had a lovely fireside chat in one of these meetings at one point, and who I've left the door open and would love to communicate and work closely with. It seems a harmonious approach to this, and understanding and representing the collective voice of the community is the best path forward. So I really leave that door open. And if any of you hear things that are confusing, ask us, talk to us. Or if you hear things that are informative, please let us know too. We'll continue to do the work we can on the interim post office. And if anyone wants to help or thinks of other things or other solutions, please let us know. The final thing is there has been some work done on looking in parallel, looking for long-term solutions. So that work is underway, but again, it's years off. So it still feels like it's important to have an interim post office in Bolinas, if that's what is desired by the town. There is a rumor about someone purchasing possibly the Waterhouse building, the old post office. So just keep in mind that that hasn't happened. But if it does happen, it's still going to be 1 to 2 years of rehabilitating that post office. It's not like we're going to walk in, add water and stir and reopen the post office. So there's still, even if that's ever going to happen, it's certainly not happening right now, but even if that does happen, it still feels like there's a need to get a post office back here and serve your needs. So I'm going to open it up because there may be questions or concerns. If we have 5 minutes for that, would that work?
As long as, if anyone has a question, just let's make sure we repeat the question.
Or if you'd like me to take one-on-ones outside, I'm happy to do that. Okay. It's a lot of, we like to give good news. The interim plan is not dead in the water. We have great support from our elected officials. We have great support from all the agencies, and even the people on the committee we worked with in USPS. They co-developed it and approved it. They're very interested in moving it forward. So they're trying to work through where's the stick in the spokes so that we can keep going.
So in the room, the point was made that the information that Anna is sharing should be presented to the entire community.
So we'll write a summary for the hearsay. Now, the information about the cluster boxes, in some communities they work well, but most of you drive over Mount Tam and you see that they're often broken into and damaged, and we don't have a police force or any way to maintain them. But more importantly, it's a perception that we were told from within the post office that the more of those things that surface, and again, I'm not a scientist on this. I didn't study that. So I'm not saying that's absolute fact, but we were told by 2 people within the post office that that raises a risk for us ever getting a post office back in town. So it's a perception. I can stand by what I heard directly, but I haven't done any science on it.
Just for everyone, this information is all very new within the last 24 hours. So we're just kind of playing a little bit of catch up. We're going to consolidate what we currently know. We'll provide an update on the BolinasCivicGroup.org website as soon as we possibly can get it together and publish to the hearsay and to the community at large.
And I think it's important to be ever hopeful and vocal and say what your needs are, say what your desires are, and keep your voice being heard by you representing it. And that takes away the risk of other people representing our community in a way that may not be how we feel. We just all each need to say how we feel. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ainur. And again, sorry for the bummer of the news. Again, it just happened really quickly. Oh, sorry, Annabelle. That's the ADHD. Okay. What I was saying was, again, sorry for the bummer news. I do want to just reiterate, the community support is so critical, and we'll get as much information out as quickly as we can. I think I'm just going to, one more. So Karen, community projects, this is a little bit, this is me, and I just want to say I'm filling in for Karen. Karen Gatley with the Health and Human Services is working on a project for Persis. Unfortunately, Karen was not able to make it. Persis is looking for a home, and one of the interesting things that Persis and Karen have been working on is the ability to convert a home to a Section 8 housing. So Karen wanted me to say that she has the ability to help support and find information for those of you who would like to support elder members of the community in potentially hosting a Section 8 and has information. If you don't know Karen, her information is there on the screen, and of course I can get you that later. Again, my name is Will Bartley with the Bolinas Civic Group, and I'm still planning on hosting a Bolinas Civic Super Supper at some point in the future. If you're interested in having more in-depth conversations about things and topics that we've been discussing, the hosts over at the Coast Cafe are very graciously offering to let us all sit down and have some soup. So I'm thinking it's a Bolinas Civic Super. Right? I'm still trying to make jokes. Shirley's trying to be funny about it. I want to thank everybody for coming out. Again, month after month, it's been great to see everybody in the room and online. We have a new meeting coming up in September. Oh, gosh darn it. In October, and the dates will be there. More information, as always, on bolinascivicgroup.org. Yes, I know.
I have one more announcement. Ever hopeful. This town has done harder things. We've solved harder problems. So this is by no means a give up message tonight. We've got some real challenges, and we're going to go eyes wide open and push as hard as we can, but we're not giving up.
What I never said. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great night. Everyone take care, and we'll see you next month.
We ain't apologize, cause I'm way too young and you always right. Threw it in my face, I'm on another flight. Girl at home, I ain't been living right. The little arguments always start the fight. I had to get away, so I'm with you tonight. Is there another guy? Be honest, honest, honest. Are you honest? Cause I'm honest, honest.